You ever wake up thinking your day's going to be peaceful? Then bam, you're standing on your own porch watching your late wife's jewelry box get booted into the dirt by some clown in a cheap black uniform, all while the self-appointed queen of the HOA is live streaming it like it's her ticket to fame. Yeah, that happened to me. You could call it the moment I realized, Barbara, you have no idea who you're messing with. Name's Jim Callahan, and I'm no stranger to a fight. Used to be an aerospace engineer, spent years outsmarting missile systems for a living. But none of that could prep me for a showdown with a woman whose favorite hobby is bullying her neighbors in the name of community standards. Let me back up a sec because I want you to see how deep this rabbit hole really goes. 15 years ago, I built my little slice of heaven out here in Clearwater, Colorado. Just me, Anna, and a patch of pines whispering over a lake so clean you could spot a trout clear to the bottom. Anna's been gone 3 years now, cancer, but every inch of this place still hums with her. Wind chimes from our honeymoon. Her bird feeder, the one I carved with my own hands, swinging in the breeze. This cabin, it's my anchor. But Barbara Newell didn't care about any of that. She cared about power, the kind you only get when everyone else is too scared or tired to push back. First, it was a letter, all official HOA logo and all calling out non-compliant structures. You know, like the house I built before her fancy HOA even existed. My land's been grandfathered since '68. I checked the deeds, trust me. But Barbara, she didn't lose sleep over facts. She lost sleep over not being in charge. She started slapping me with fines, $300 for a bird feeder, $500 for Anna's flower pots, like grief was against the rules. I tossed her letters into the wood stove thinking she'd get bored. Guess again. Next came the live streams, her standing on my lawn with a pink clipboard and a smile so fake it could melt wax, broadcasting to every neighbor who ever peeked through a blind. And then there was Frank Walsh, her so-called security chief, an ex-cop who acts like he's the sheriff of some forgotten movie set, belly and Boston accent and all. Frank starts bossing around, telling me I've got 24 hours to clear out junk. That's what he calls Anna's things, like it's his personal landfill. I'm not exactly the brawling type at 64, but I'll tell you, I wasn't about to let them win. And just when I thought I'd seen the worst of it, Frank and his boys roll up one Monday, kick Anna's jewelry box into the dirt, and toss half my life into a truck, Barbara narrating the whole thing for her audience. I stood there, coffee sloshing in my hand, feeling like I'd been gutted all over again. But here's the thing, you push a guy like me into a corner, you better be ready for the comeback. Enter Kevin Yang, my next-door neighbor. 19, smart as a whip, and the sort of kid who builds drones for fun. He knocks on my door that night, eyes wide, tablet in hand. Mr. Callahan, he says, you need to see this. Turns out Kevin's drone caught the whole mess on camera and then some. Frank's crew wasn't just clearing junk, they were stuffing wads of cash into their pockets right out back where Barbara's live stream didn't reach. That's right. Turns out community standards was code for organized theft. Kevin pulls up more footage. Barbara and Frank stashing my wife's things in a storage unit 2 miles out right alongside a graveyard of other people's property. You ever see a 9-year-old skateboard next to a memorial bench? It's heartbreaking. And Kevin, well, he's been keeping receipts, emails, footage, the works. But the real kicker comes from Maria Torres, a nurse from a few doors down. She comes by, worn out from a night shift, and says her son's skateboard vanished too. They called it an aesthetic violation, she whispers. Her kid cried all night. She's got hospital records too, showing a spike in asthma and rashes right after Barbara's goons started dumping mystery chemicals in the lake. Now let me tell you, when a nurse and a tech whiz team up with an old engineer, things get interesting. We set up shop in my living room, Maria with her medical logs, Kevin with his drones, me with a pile of old property deeds. What we found was bigger than any one of us. Barbara wasn't just after my cabin, she was after every lakefront lot she could scare out of somebody's hands. Kevin's drone caught Frank dumping canisters in the water. Turns out those environmental hazard notices Barbara kept waving around were all part of the con's spiking water test to panic people into selling cheap. And who's waiting in the wings? A developer called Marina Heights, ready to swoop in and build a luxury resort on the bones of our community. The next week is a blur. Kevin's main drone glitches out. Frank's got some kind of military jammer like this is a spy movie and not a HOA shakedown. So Kevin swaps in micro drones tiny as birds with encrypted feeds. Maria, meanwhile, is tracking symptoms in the neighborhood kids, kept home old folks scared to open their doors, a whole town under siege. Frank even corners Kevin at his community college, tries to threaten him, jokes on him. Kevin's phone is streaming live to the cloud the whole time. That's what I love about this kid. He's always 2 steps ahead. Barbara thinks she's got it all wrapped up, sends a crew of 8, all decked out in knockoff uniforms, for her Operation Clear Lake finale. She's live streaming, strutting up my porch, telling her audience she's protecting their property values. But Kevin and Maria are streaming 2 split-screen live to YouTube and Twitch. Our feed's got everything: Frank pocketing cash, Barbara bragging about cleaning house, and Maria steady as ever explaining the health risks of those chemicals in the water. That's when the twist hits. Barbara, thinking she's off mic, tells Frank dump his junk and move on. Old men don't belong here, but it's all going out live. Viewers, double neighbors, see what's really happening, and the mask drops. Maria breaks down the medical data for thousands of watchers. People start commenting, "She's a crook. That's my kid's skateboard." The HOA president loses it on camera, shrieking about illegal surveillance and privacy rights, but nobody's listening anymore. And just when it seems like things can't get any crazier, 3 black SUVs roll up, FBI badges flashing the works. Agent Tom Delgado steps out and tells Barbara, "We've been tracking your operation for months. Thanks for the live stream. That's the moment I knew we'd won." Barbara, Frank, the whole lot arrested on charges from racketeering to environmental terrorism. The FBI raids the storage unit, finds everything from Anna's earrings to Maria's son's skateboard. They track Barbara's scheme all the way to a state senator and a couple of city councilmen. 45 people indicted. The lake gets cleaned up. Kids start playing outside again. For the first time in years, neighbors talk to each other instead of hiding behind curtains. 6 months later, Maria's running the new community council, transparent fair, 0 power trips. Kevin's got a college scholarship. I even set up a legal aid fund to help folks fight off scam HOAs. Clearwater's thriving, painted mailboxes, backyard BBQs, a town reborn. But you want to know the funny part? There's a letter sitting on my desk right now. No return address, marked Clearwater Phase 2. Looks like some developers gearing up for round 2. So I gotta ask, what do you think? Was Barbara just a greedy bully or something more complicated? A broken person lashing out at the world? Ever run up against someone hiding behind a clipboard and a fake smile? Tell me your story. Drop it in the comments. Let's get real about what justice looks like in a world full of barabaras. And hey, if you think we need more stories like this, hit that like button, and let's remind folks that community means more than who runs the HOA.